How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
Eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital.
That's difficult to answer.
is the end. There's a noise inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? Oh, I'm burning in the stone. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the stone. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone. This is the final
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the show. Happy Monday. I am super excited about our guest today, and we're going to bring him on in just 1 second, but I have a couple quick announcements that I need to make before we do that. First off, this is not the only stream of the day. Of course, I can't let a single Monday go by without doing a spy stream of some sort, because there is a ton of leftist organizing going on right now, and I stream all their meetings live on the internet. And the left really loves it when I sign up for their meetings under a fake name and then I stream their stuff live on the internet. And they especially love it when I clip their stuff and then it goes viral and all that. And so we're going to be doing yet another leftist organizing meeting tonight. It starts around 8 p.m. This is going to be one of those rare times where we do actually do spy stream publicly on the internet. Most of the time, this is a supporter exclusive. And so if you want to see inside a live leftist organizing meeting, we're actually going to be listening. Actually, it's ironic that we're having Adam on right now because we're going to be listening to Christian leftists organize against the authoritarian Trump. And I'm sure Adam would have some feelings about that. But we're going to be doing that at 8 p.m. tonight. So make sure you pop back for that. If you're looking for the information, of course, it is on the YouTube channel. You can also find the info over on the Substack, and you can find which organization we're actually going to be streaming tonight over on the Substack. As always, this is where I post all my best stuff. This is where I post my breakdowns of the far left, karlyn.substack.com. And I actually have something really cool coming up this week that you guys are going to want to make sure you subscribe to the Substack for, because I'm going to teach you guys how to DIY your own trans hormones this week. Isn't this fun? I picked up this booklet at the Antifa queer Marxist fair that I went to in Boston over the weekend, and it breaks down how to DIY your own hormones. And just in case you don't want to do trans femme hormones, because I know not everyone wants to do trans femme hormones, I found the digital file for the trans mask hormones as well. And so we'll be doing the breakdowns on the Queer Marxist guide to how to DIY your own hormones this week on the Substack. It's going to be really great. You can see what your kids are learning in school and all that good stuff. So you can head over there, karlyn.substack.com, if you want to get subscribed. And after Spy Stream tonight, we are going into our supporter Discord, and we are having movie night because we do movie nights on Mondays. We do like cult classic movie nights on Mondays, which is awesome. MacB is going to be showing Escape from LA at 9 p.m. tonight in the Discord, and so that's going to be really great too. Yes, welcome back to the Viking himself, Adam Green. Well, without further ado, I am thrilled to have Adam back on the channel. If you guys haven't been following Adam's work with No More News, I'd highly recommend you subscribe to him on Rumble. Follow him on Twitter. He's awesome, and I'm really, really, really glad he's back. Adam, welcome.
What's up, Karlyn? Thanks for having
Hi.
me. It's good to be here.
Good to be here. Can you turn up your volume a little bit?
Sure.
You sound a little low. Maybe I can
How's
turn
that?
mine
Is
down.
that
Maybe
better?
that's so much better. Maybe I'm just loud though.
All right.
Well, you have been really vindicated in the last couple of days. How are you feeling? I mean, it's bittersweet, isn't it? Because I feel like when I had my vindication a couple weeks ago, it was because there were massive riots starting to pop off, and I'm like, well, this isn't really good, but it's good for me. And I kind of feel like, well, it's World War II. It's the end of humanity. We're all gonna die. So Adam Green was right about everything. That's just great. So I bet he's feeling really good about that.
Yeah, it's like a weird paradox. Like the more Zionist things get, the more vindication and, the more content, the more to talk about. So it's a weird inversion paradox. But even right before the election, because I'd been predicting that Trump would get back in for years and have war with Iran, and in the exact way he did too, like selling himself as the peacemaker and the savior, and everybody's desperate for him to save the world, and the messianic aura around him that he's going to save us from World War III and the economy and save Christians and save Israel. And then the persecution, he laid down his life. They're coming after him. He sacrificed his billionaire life to be the president and save us all. So, yeah, but right before the election, I was like, I kind of hope that Trump loses, so everything that I've been predicting doesn't come through, because I know how the story ends and it's not good. But he won, and I don't know why I doubted myself. And but yeah, sometimes I hope I was wrong, for sure.
Yeah. I hope I'm wrong all the time, and then I just turn out being right over and over and over again. And so it is and it kind of sucks too. And I feel like you are in a similar position to I am, where like you scream about this stuff on the internet for years and years and years, and people don't listen, and they smear you, and they make fun of you, and they do all this stuff, and then all of a sudden you turn out to be right, and you're like, oh, now I get to take my victory lap, assholes. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, the leftist Christian, that sounds interesting. I just had a back and forth with Zerka, actually. He said, because I copied that South Korean guy, and I'm like, as the highest IQ person in the world, Jesus is fake and Hebrew, Jewish. And Zerka responded. Zerka's a big TikTok influencer. Red pill. What is that? What is that called when they talk about girls all the time? What's that sector of the internet?
I don't know. Like,
anyway, he was like, yeah, remember when they replaced Christianity with communism? And I said, yeah, I remember all the times Jesus spoke so positively of capitalism and wealth, and then showed a few verses saying the manosphere. That's right, manosphere. And then I showed some of the verses of the New Testament showing it's like, give away all your wealth and follow Jesus, and they live in communes, and if somebody asks for the shirt off your back, give it to them and ask nothing in return, all of these. And Christianity did lead to liberalism and socialism and communism. And lots of people have noted that in the past.
Yeah, oftentimes like the Christians are some of the toughest people to get through with the work I do, because they're basically like ready for the end times, and they don't care if everything gets destroyed. And so it's like they're like, okay, we're ready for it because that means our savior is going to come back. And I'm like, well, that's not exactly how this should probably work. You should probably be trying a little bit harder if you care about fighting communism, but okay. So
yeah, that's the big problem with prophecy and trusting the plan and waiting for a savior. It's like the worse things get, Christians believe like it's part of the plan, and when we lose, we win. And some of them even take it to the extreme that they believe that they're going to be raptured away before all the chaos and the suffering and the end times wars.
Crazy. So how do you describe what you do for my audience who may not be familiar with your, because you do something very similar to what I do, but you do it with Jewish rabbis
and Christians, which are just Gentile rabbis, basically. Priests are just spiritual Jews that believe in messianic apocalypticism. Basically, I have a news show where I cover religion and politics and current events, and I do news streams. But I also I do lots of interviews. I've done debates. I'll do like documentary presentations. I'll do compilations of rabbis and Christians and clips and edits. I've even done like man on the streets and interviews and stuff like that. So a little of everything.
So what would you describe if you had to explain to someone what you believe about how the Jews may have influenced Christianity? How would you break that down quickly for someone?
Christianity is an offshoot of Judaism. It was started exclusively by all Jews, worshiping the Jewish Messiah based on Jewish prophecies.
Okay. And how does that impact what's going on in the Middle East right now? Again,
Well,
for people who might not be familiar.
Right. Well, the conflict is all at the core of it is Israel, the state of Israel, Zionism, with a prophetic return to their holy land, the land promised to them by God, his chosen people. And the Christians are involved because many of them believe that Israel has to return and have the rebirth of their nation and a third temple and an antichrist and a mark of the beast and end times wars. And then Jesus will float down in a cloud with a robe dripping in blood and a sword on a white horse to save the day on the Mount of Olives. And then the Muslims also have their version of end times prophecies, which completely align and converge with Judaism and Christianity, where they believe a Mahdi, Jesus messianic figure, is going to return and destroy Antichrist, the Dajjal. So all these prophecies is how they control us. And the conflict over there, fighting over the Temple Mount, wanting to rebuild the temple. There's the Muslim Al-Aqsa Mosque. They believe that's where Muhammad floated away and ascended into heaven. So at the core of all of this in the Middle East, obviously, is the religious fights.
So we're literally just still to this day playing out something that's been played out for literally thousands of years, is what you're saying?
Yep. Playing out an end time script, 2,000 years in the making. The scriptures are a script. It's a blueprint. At the core of it is Judaism, which the whole objective in Judaism is that the pagan idol worship of the nations will be destroyed and all of the world will worship the God of Israel, the God of Zion. And they believe Christianity and Islam, through their belief in Jesus, helped make that happen. And it's not just that they believe it. It did make it happen. They conquered most of the pagan world, and now they worship the God of Abraham.
Do you think that Trump getting involved in the Middle East and bombing Iran is basically part of the Jews essentially trying to fulfill this end times prophecy thing? Is that fair to say?
I don't think that he was sold that that's the reason. They gave him other reasons, like, they
manipulated,
nukes and they're a threat. But I think Netanyahu, definitely the influence, he's been doing it for 30 years. Like, there's the famous video of Netanyahu going to meet the Chabad Lubavitch Rebbe, and he goes, "You have to do more to hasten the Mashiach and speedily in our day." And that means that you have to do more to bring the Messiah. And so, yeah, a lot of the extremist Zionists in Israel and their government, or just, in the state and around the world, they believe that Gog and Magog war has to happen, and that's a war between the West and the East against Edom, which they view as America and Europe, versus Iran and Russia, who they view as Gog in the Gog and Magog war. And it's in Ezekiel 38 and 39, and it's in Zechariah. And they believe that America and the West has to be destroyed before their messianic age can commence. And that's straight from the Talmud, that Edom has to fall for Israel and Jacob to rise up.
So Edom is like representative of like Western culture, right?
Yes,
if I understand the language correctly. And Gog and Magog is what?
They view it, at least for hundreds of years, they viewed it as a nation to the north and like a strong leader of a nation to the north. And they've been identifying it with Russia and Putin, especially in the last few decades. And look at now. So Trump and Israel escalated this with Iran. There's by the way, we compiled the clips. You shared the rabbi compilation earlier that my friend John made. And there are rabbis all over the internet and Christians all over the internet fantasizing about this end times war between America and Persia or Iran. And then that's going to suck us into war with Russia. Medvedev just threatened yesterday that he's going to give Iran nukes, and other countries are going to possibly give them nukes now. And Trump just responded a few minutes ago saying, "Did I hear him use the N word? And we have the best nukes and they're the most advanced and stuff." So we're basically in a new Cold War. and on the verge of World War III, which really kind of we've been on the verge since 9/11. But with the beginning of the war on terror and all of that. But remember Trump at the nomination acceptance speech? He mentioned that Russia has nukes and subs over by Cuba, 60 miles off of Florida. And that's why he says we need the new Golden Dome, to protect us, I imagine. And that's why we need Greenland, too, to protect us from this end times battle. And Trump is aware because, as in that compilation, he was on Joe Rogan before the election, and he goes, Joe, the prophets say that the world will end in the Middle East. So he's aware. I'm sure many of the rabbis that have given him so many top awards and Christians that surround him and in his faith cabinet, the crazy ones that speak in tongues and worship a foreign nation, have made him aware of the prophecies. And prophecies have a weird way of manifesting themselves. I don't believe in prophecy at all. I don't believe in a chosen people. I don't believe in the God of the Bible. I'm agnostic. Anybody claiming they can speak for God is just trying to control you. And if you believe in prophecies, you're almost manifesting them to happen. And there's a coin term for this, of this manifestation through belief, called hyperstition, where myths, if they're believed, can actually play out in the real world. And I think that's what we're seeing right now, largely.
Well, I mean, that's the basis of like what all manifestation is. I mean, if you believe in like the woo-woo stuff like I do, and I know you're not like super into that stuff, but like, it's all about you create a vision in your head, and that's the basis of how you start creating things in the real world, is create a vision in your head, and then you start to talk about your vision, and then you get other people to believe your vision too, and that's how you create your collective consciousness around it. And it's like, when I look at what like the Jews do with a lot of their rituals and a lot of just the things that they do all the time in terms of like, putting the thing around their arm and the thing around their head and the thing they do with the wall and all that stuff, it's all about focusing energy and creating the vision that they have. And so no, I'm completely on board with that. And it's like, they're kind of like one of the only groups I see do that on a large collective too, which is part of the reason I think they're so effective at moving things around to get what they want, even if it seems absurd. There is no reason we should be at war in the Middle East. There's no reason at all, except Israel and Netanyahu, and have all willed it to be so. I saw a thing earlier today on someone was saying that Trump only watches Fox News, and because Tucker Carlson is now not on Fox News anymore, all he heard was like an echo chamber of like Zionism over and over and over again, and that's part of what informed his decision to bomb Iran.
Intelligence, as they call it, right?
In addition to vibes, as reported by Rolling Stone. I don't know if you saw that. Trump bombed them based on vibes.
Or like Huckabee. Remember, Trump shared Mike Huckabee, who's a hardcore Christian Zionist, and he's the ambassador to Israel, and he literally wants to usher in the end times wars so Jesus returns. One of the most fanatical. Trump shared his text message he sent him, and he goes, listen to God and what God wants. And obviously that implies serving and blessing the chosen people in Israel and defending them, and possibly even starting wars for them. I saw in the chat somebody mentioned like prophecy is predictive programming. On Fox News, they talked about, they're like, it's eerily similar, this attack on Iran and their enrichment of uranium underground in these bunkers. He's like, it's eerily similar to the new Top Gun Maverick movie. And I hadn't seen it yet. And I'm like, oh, that explains a lot. This huge, big Hollywood, big budget films where they use all these military equipment and planes and stuff. That means the CIA and the government is involved with the script and the planning and the production of that movie. And he's exactly right. It is the plot. Exact plot. They don't say it's Iran, but it's heavily implied that's who it is. And they started writing this a few years ago, and it came out.
No shit. Are you
the
serious?
whole plot is all about them doing some advanced secret mission with their fighter pilots to blow up a bunker of enriched uranium.
I remember my husband made me watch that movie one night, and I was like, what is, like, I knew it was subtext for something. I just didn't really know what it was, and I didn't care enough to actually think about it that much, but it makes a ton of sense. And I didn't know that, like, when they have the fighter pilots and stuff, that means the CIA is involved. That's funny, though. Great. Well, what were you thinking when you heard that Trump decided to bomb Iran the other day? What kind of went through your head when that happened?
Well, we knew it was coming. And all of the misdirection and the deception, like all of these negotiations and how Trump said he's going to take 2 weeks to think about it, that was a misdirection as well, so that to catch him off guard. And then Saturday morning before they attacked, it was all over the internet, which should have been a red flag. They're like, oh, these B-2 bombers that dropped these huge 30,000-pound bunker busters that we're going to use, they just left, and they've got the fuel tankers, and they're going over. Turns out that was all misdirection because they were already over there with huge fleets of them, and that also caught him off guard. So Trump has been lying every step of the way about this. And interesting enough, I covered on my stream, there was I think it was a rabbi on Fox News. He was like, just wait and see Thursday or Friday around there, that if you thought the pagers and the blowing up pagers and beepers that they did to Hezbollah, if you thought that was big, just wait till you see how sophisticated this next thing that's coming. And coincidentally, that day lined up with a very famous day on the Hebrew calendar in the story of Purim and Esther, the book of Esther, where Jews celebrate Purim. It's where they, on that day, the 23rd of Sivan, I think it was, in the Hebrew calendar, it coincided with June 19th. So it was, I think, 2 days before the attack. This is where they give the decree that the Jews in Persia, in the Purim story, were allowed to slaughter all of the Persians on that exact day. And then that's what just happened again, to like a slaughtering of the Persians.
It's crazy. I remember you tweeting about that, and I was like, no way. This cannot align this closely. It's just like crazy. Well, they're not coincidences.
It could be. We'll put on our tinfoil hats and say it could be a coincidence.
It's a pretty big coincidence.
But it's interesting. Yeah. But even if the day didn't line up, it wasn't exactly on the day too. It was like a day or two off. But still, like, that is the archetype. That is the story, though, of them. Of the story of the Persians that are going to genocide them so that they have to rise up, and then they end up slaughtering the Persians. And that's the exact same scenario that we're seeing play out right now. I don't think that's a coincidence.
It is amazing to me watching all the people on Twitter just cheer this on too. And it's like, you pretended to be anti-war like 2 seconds ago, and now you're like, oh, this isn't the people I love especially are like, we're not in a war. There are no boots on the ground. We're not in a war. I'm like, assholes, whatever. I just don't even know what to say anymore.
Yeah, there's been some good memes where it shows like the MAGA brain that just goes wherever the wind is blowing. It was like tariffs are good, and then he removed the tariffs. Oh, 4D chess, art of the deal. He removed them. Now they're bad, and it was the right move. Same thing with first it's bombing them is bad. Okay, bombing them is good. Regime change is bad. Okay, now regime change is good. They just go where the wind flows, whatever Trump is. Many people like just follow. He is the shepherd. He is their the leader. That was the talking point to get everybody on board too. We need to have faith in Trump. He's been so consistent. You voted for him. You have your faith in him, right? That type of thing. Yeah.
I've never been so happy to not have voted for Trump in my life as I am this week. And I know I voted for Nick, who I know you don't like either, but I think that was actually probably Nick Fuentes has a better handle on what's going on in the Middle East than I think Trump does to a certain extent. So I feel okay about my choice. So yeah. I guess,
and that's another cope too, is everybody goes, oh, like Kamala would have done this too. Like, I'm not so sure about that.
I don't think she
would have.
Trump
was the chosen one. Trump was way more pro-Israel. He's way more loved by the Zionists. And would Kamala been able to rally the country to back and go along with this thing like Trump could? I don't think so. Not even close.
Yeah, I think Kamala would have been bad for like different reasons, but I don't think she would have actually gotten us. I think she would have gotten a huge, massive blowback from her party had she even tried to do something like this. And so, no, I agree with you on that.
Yeah. They couldn't even or didn't even want to shut down like the college protests. You think they're going to go preemptively lie and coordinate with Israel to bomb Iran and set all this off? And that's another part of the deception that Trump was engaged in too. And remember, Mossad's motto was wage war by deception. And even 60 Minutes had on that Mossad agent bragging about with the Kanye mask on, bragging about how he's like, we're the producers of the film, and the real world is a theater, and we have the actors, and we're psyoping everything. And then they ended that segment on 60 Minutes with, Mossad's motto is wage war by deception. So this whole Trump is cutting off Netanyahu and this feud with Trump and Netanyahu, all of that was staged as well, and disinfo to make Iran think that Trump was going to come in good faith to the table. So if Trump's willing to lie to Iran on this grand of a scale for Israel, you don't think he's lying to you, MAGA, and playing all of you and playing America as well?
I don't know how people don't feel deceived by all of that. To be really honest, it's like even just knowing that Trump has been lying about this for so long, and it's like, okay, yeah, he's a politician, he's the president, of course he's going to lie, but to have it, it's kind of like it's pushed so directly in your face that it's like, how can you not feel this is smarmy, this is underhanded? There's no reason to ever trust anything that comes out of their mouth again. Like, I mean, they're flat out bragging about it and laughing about it, and I don't know how more people don't feel just completely deceived by this whole charade.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of cope too online where people are like, I didn't vote for this. This is not what I voted for. And I'm like, yes, you did. He has
Yes.
been very consistent about this for a long time about he's not going to allow them. And it was no secret that Netanyahu and Trump were a package deal and that he's going to back the Zionists. If you thought he's gotten a lot of Jewish awards and bragged about how he's the greatest president for Israel of all time before bragging about all his accomplishments in the first term, like moving the embassy to Jerusalem and tearing up the Iran deal, which led to where we're at right now, and recognizing the Golan Heights, annexing that for Israel, BDS laws, anti-Semitism laws, all of the things that Trump did. Now this is like the icing on the cake, bombing Iran's nuclear facilities. But Trump was... So you weren't betrayed. You just fell for a con man and a liar. You did vote for this. We all warned you. You should have known better. And Trump was speaking out of both sides of his mouth, though, promising no new wars and promising that he's going to prevent World War III. And he said he's going to get elected and he's going to end the war in Ukraine and Russia on day one. That hasn't happened either. And now he campaigned in 2016 and got into office trying to trash the Bushes and neocons and foreign entanglements and foreign wars in the Middle East. And then now he's, like everybody's doing the meme of him morphing into George Bush. You all got played. You fell for it. And what is the Bush saying too? It's like, you fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, it's shame on me. You all fell for Trump again. And it's funny too. I was just at a comedy show last night. Great comedian. I love Ryan Long. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I like him, yeah.
He's had some real viral stuff. I went and saw him live, comedy show, and he's like, so is everybody hyped about war with Iran? And everyone is like, boo. And he's like, yeah, Trump promised no new wars, but we all knew, this is his joke, we all knew Iran had a hall pass. Iran's his hall pass for wars. That was a good one.
Wow. You just reminded me of something. I want to pull it up on the screen. It'll just take me a second. So a while ago on the channel, we watched, it's kind of tangential to what you were just saying, but it popped into my head. A while ago, we watched a documentary on a socialist YouTube channel. I'm trying to pull it up because I think actually a lot of people might be interested in it. I just want to get it on the screen so people can see it. And you might think, okay, like, is it
Jesus?
Well, yeah, kind of actually. Where is it? It was on Veriso Books' YouTube channel. Where is it? Here it is. So check this out. So this is a documentary on Veriso Books' YouTube channel. It's been up since 2021, so it's not a new documentary. And it's called The Israel Lobby in Academia. And it's so funny if you watch this now. This was produced by Al Jazeera back in like 2017 or something like that. So it was produced like when Trump was in office the first time. And it's basically they got someone to go undercover at some of these like Jewish groups like Canary Mission that are doing the attacks on college students. But this was like almost 10 years ago. And if you watch this documentary, it's almost exactly what they're doing to college students protesting, the pro-Palestine protesters today, almost to the same letter. And in this documentary, they go inside Canary Mission, Canary Mission is one of the organizations that is basically telling Trump, these are the college students that you need to deport that are protesting it, except they were documenting all this back in like 2017. So this documentary
is this the one where Roseanne, they show the tweet of Roseanne calling to nuke one of the college campuses?
I don't think
I've seen this. It was a 4-part series that Al Jazeera made on the Israeli lobby. And the Israeli lobby wielded their power to get it shut down so it didn't air on the network it was supposed to. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is on Veriso Books' YouTube channel. Veriso Books is a socialist book publisher, and they actually have, after the documentary, they have a panel with like student activists that were involved in all this. It's a trip to watch if you have a chance to watch it now, because it's just like
What?
so relevant to what's going
Yeah.
on.
No, I remember I watched it and covered it on my YouTube channel before it was banned. I had some clips from this series that had like hundreds of thousands of views. And I just recall there was like a professor at one of the schools, and he talked about like the weird harassment and slander and rumors they were spreading about him online.
Oh, yeah.
And at that
Yeah.
time, I was attacked by Canary Mission and ADL, and they were doing the exact same things to me. And even online all the time, that people that you would think would be on my side, just all of these defamation campaigns, slandering, making them all rumors and lies about me as well. And
Oh,
I
yeah, I had some
suspect
experience with that.
it may be from bad actors from Israel and Unit 8200 in Hasbara sowing some of this disinformation.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. And I think one of the things that's really bothered me about all the pro-Palestine stuff and how the Trump administration is responding to the protesters since all this thing started is like, these are revolutionary communists. Like the guy you just mentioned, that who's like him and his wife were like getting attacked by these people. She is literally an abolish the family communist. Like her whole thing, I watched her on this channel. She goes around telling people like, here's how we abolish the nuclear family. And she does activism around that. And I'm like, if you guys want to go after her, can we please actually have it be relevant? Can we have it be productive? Because she's a revolutionary communist that wants to overthrow the government. And maybe we can deport her for that instead of you don't like what she says about Israel. I don't know. And it's the same thing with all these protesters. It's like they're all like, it is actually illegal to do what they're doing in the United States. They could be deported for being part of revolutionary communist organizations. Trump won't do that because it has to be all about anti-Semitism all the time.
Yeah, it is amazing how like the college campuses were allowing like overt, widespread anti-white hatred, anti-American stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But then as soon as it was October 7th and the focus shifted to Israel and Zionism, then it was all shut down so fast. And they were trying to, get rid of replace the university presidents and pass laws where they can't protest, and running psyops about a Jewish girl getting poked in the eye with a flagpole when it like,
Oh, yeah.
yep. And they largely shut it down, and Trump backed that. As soon as Trump got in, he appointed Pam Bondi of I forget what her position is right now.
Attorney
Justice
General.
Department Attorney General.
Yeah.
And she immediately went after Columbia and Harvard and like other universities for anti-Semitism.
Anti-Semitism, not creating the next generation of communists that are going to destroy America. Anti-Semitism all the time. Go ahead.
That's a really good documentary. Remember, the guy was like going
Yeah.
on dates with like the Jewish activists in the schools and secretly recording her and showing how much they're influencing and manipulating things behind the scenes in these college campuses and with professors. And it's straight coercion, and like it should.
Oh, yeah.
Huge investigation should have opened up to shut all that down, but they didn't, showing the extent of their control and meddling going on.
No, and it's bizarre to watch today too, because it's like they make this big deal about like, October 7th, and I'm not going to say October 7th was a small thing. A lot of people died. It's very sad. Like that's anytime you have stuff like that, it's tragic. But like they're making it seem like they were just been doing all of this since like October 7th, and it's like no, they've been doing all of this for a really long time. Exactly the same playbook over and over and over again. Listen, Amalek. I unblocked 17,000 people on Twitter, and within a week, you said something dickish and got yourself blocked again. This is your fault. If you apologize to me, I will unblock you, and you can stop complaining about it. Okay? Sorry.
Amalek's
I know he's
my
one of your
boy.
clippers.
Amalek's awesome.
I know.
Definitely give him a second chance.
Well, he needs to not be a dick on Twitter then. I'm not asking too much. All right, let's go through some of these super chats. I have more questions for Adam, of course. Adam, do you think that James Lindsay is the Antichrist?
No.
No? What do you think of James Lindsay?
I think he's a grifter and a fraud, though. Isn't he going to like Christian events and like kind of hiding that he's not a Christian? I'm the anti-Moshiach. I'm anti-Moshiach. I'm anti-Yahweh. I'm anti Torah prophecies, like Antichrist. Satan in these Abrahamic religions, Satan is just the boogeyman that scares people into believing in the God of Israel. That's the adversary, like the controlled opposition that scares you into using fear to get you to believe in their Messiah and their God.
Well,
So
what I heard about James Lindsay, and I have become friends with his stepdaughter recently, which James is really really thrilled about. What I heard is that James was going around to all these Christian events because Christians were his primary client base, and he was basically like. He's in he forced his wife to be in an open marriage so he could fuck all the women at the Christian events, essentially. So that's what's really going on. So maybe James is the Antichrist. He's turning all these Christian women away from their marriage. I don't know. It's just a rumor that his stepdaughter told me, so I don't know if that's true or not. Scott says, fantastic guest. Thank you. Thank you, Scott, for that. Rottweiler said, what could happen if things don't go the way Israel and Christian Zionists, dispensationalists, push the date and set things up for another day like the Mayan calendar BS? Is that what
well,
we're
I hope
talking about?
so. Like even in the Bible, it says like Jesus. What is it? Jesus will not come until like the disciples go to all of the nations around Israel. So they've been pushing this back, and there's been end times doomsdayers forever in Christianity, and always saying people in their current time is the Antichrist, and the end times war is about to happen, and the plagues are happening, and everything's a sign of the Messiah. In fact, I watched Blackpilled, a streamer, do a review of an old Christian Zionist documentary from the late 70s, and it was exactly like an end times Christian movie I saw in the early 2000s, and they've just been doing it forever, and it doesn't happen, and they redo it. But given where we're at right now, like they're not just saying, oh, the war with Iran and Russia and the West, like they're not after the fact claiming this is fulfilling prophecies. They have been saying this is what the prophecy is for a long time, and we really are here. And the people that believe these things, or at least pretend to believe these things, are in positions in all these countries in power. So I think it is a real concern that one day they will actually be able to carry out their end times agenda and trust the plan and hope that Jesus is going to float down and save them. And this is one thing you'll hear the biggest cope is so-called anti-Zionist Christians online will say, well, that's just the Schofield Bible, and that's just the Zionist Christians and the Protestants, and they're satanic and they're heretics and stuff. But this is cope because all denominations of Christianity still believe in these prophecies. They still believe Jesus is going to return, and he's not going to return until the Antichrist comes. So in a weird way, they'll say John Hagee and the Christian Zionists and Ted Cruz are satanic, or they're not real Christians. That's their biggest excuse, which is the no true Scotsman. Not real Christians, even though they're the ones with all the power, right? And carrying out their agenda. But even though Christians will claim they're opposed to Zionism and the Third Temple, in a way, they still think it's fulfilling their prophecies. So in a weird way, they're for it because they believe it has to happen. It's inevitable and it has to happen for Jesus to return. So they are contributing to the problem as well with that mindset.
Do you really think that this is ever a problem that can be like solved with how ubiquitous Christianity is, not only in the United States, but all over the world?
It's collapsing amongst European countries for the most part. It's growing in like Africa and China and other countries, but which is a concern. I think it's less likely that it'll be totally be able to be eradicated. There's still going to be believers because one of the things that's built in with religion that they think they're supposed to be hated. That's how you know that Jesus is true, because people hate them, or they mock you. It's so easy to mock them because it's so ridiculous. But the mocking, the Bible said we would be mocked, so that's built-in defense mechanism as well. So there'll always be some people. I think we've had the internet for like 20, 25 years, and I think that knowledge and information is helping less people believe. But at a minimum, we can get it out of our government. These Abrahamic end times death cults should not be in government, in power, with their fingers on the nuclear triggers. Like Pete Hegseth, the leader of our military, is over in Israel saying he wants to rebuild the temple, and he's got a Jerusalem cross tattoo. He's got a Yeshua, which is Jesus in Hebrew, tattoo. And the guy leading our military that just led the attack on Iran believes in all of this hardcore end times prophecy. It's a huge threat to the whole world. Same with the Muslim countries that believe in their prophecies, and the rabbis in Israel and the Christians around the world. Russian Orthodox Church believe in their end times prophecies as well. And it is a very grave threat to the whole world. If we didn't have that, we wouldn't have the risk so much of them wanting to happen, trying to make it happen, not fighting it when it does happen. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of both sides, all sides that believe in these ancient Hebrew fairy tales and these magical prophecies. and supernatural nonsense things.
I agree. So, Soto says, big thanks to Karlyn and Adam for their work. Incidentally, there are some Christians, James, I don't know how to pronounce that name, is one example, who are fully aware of the tribe's MO. What do you think? You seem to be skeptical.
I don't know who it is, but I disagree. If he believes the Bible, he's not aware. Oh, he's aware of the tribe. He probably thinks he's a true Israelite and believes he has a circumcised heart and considers himself to be a spiritual Jew. And he wants the same thing. He doesn't know what the tribe's MO is, because the tribe's MO is that he is going to bow down to the God of Israel, and he does that. So he's fulfilling their objective, and he's not opposing them because he wants the same thing that they want. The Christians and the rabbis ultimately want the same thing with minor differences. They want all the world to worship the Messiah of the Torah according to the prophecies, one world religion, singing Kumbaya, worshiping the God of Israel, and most of them believe it's after huge end times wars. So no, I do not believe that he knows about them at all.
Well, on the bright side, Amalek has now apologized. So that's good. See, I love it when men apologize to me when they're obviously and clearly wrong. It's like a really good example you're setting, Amalek. I will unblock you on Twitter. Don't worry. Okay, fine. So, Adam, how does all this play out? Because it's like, I kind of asked this in jest a little bit on your Twitter the other day, but, now the war has started, and maybe at some point they're going to burn a cow or something like that. How does this all play out in the minds of the people who are orchestrating this whole thing? What comes next, and what should we expect as we enter the end times?
Well, if they have their way, where it will go is the war will extend to Russia and China will get involved. And yes, they have their red heifers. They're all red cows that the rabbis believe they have to burn to ash and mix with water and a few other things so they can purify the high priests and they can purify the Temple Mount. And they want to move or destroy the Dome of the Rock, which sits on the Temple Mount, that has to be moved so they can in Judaism, they can rebuild their third temple, and that's where their Messiah, they will anoint their Messiah, who's going to be the ruler over the world, and all of the nations that remain will be Noahides, which Christianity and Islam, they believe, are proto-Noahides because they believe in the God of Israel, and they recognize his chosen people and their special mission on earth.
Okay. Explain Noahides. Okay, so we don't speak Jewish on this channel. We speak socialist. So you gotta break it down for us.
Yeah. Okay, so Noahide laws are in the Talmud, but they're derived from Genesis in the story of Noah, where after he flooded the earth and genocided everybody but one family on an ark with all the animals, totally real, he showed a rainbow to say that's his covenant with the world, that he's not going to destroy everybody again. And so rabbis and Christians believe that there are these Noahide laws. There's 7 of them, and the first 2 are the most concerning. It's no idol worship and no blasphemy. So you're not allowed to have your own religions and traditions and cultures. You have to basically be a form of Judaism. Noahides, which Christianity and Islam are almost perfect Noahides, are basically Judaism for the non-Jewish world. And Chabad Lubavitch is big in this, and they're trying to push this. You may have heard of, they want to have the 10 Commandments in a moment of silence in public schools, especially since Trump broke up the Department of Education.
Yep.
So the governor of Florida, DeSantis, and the governor of Arizona have both already signed these moment of silence bills, and they do a big photo op with a bunch of Chabad Lubavitch rabbis, and those are the rabbis that wear the black top hats and the black suits. And they're all around them signing the bill. And this is so they can have their Noahide law moment of silence, which has been the plan from the Chabad Lubavitch Rebbe, their top rabbi, going back decades. And our government, the president, Bush and Reagan, even signed bills recognizing this Rebbe, the Education Day, which in the small print talks about the 7 Noahide laws. And so no blasphemy, they interpret as, and there's all these sub-laws interpreted by the rabbis. This is their ultimate goal, is they're common sense ethical laws and monotheism. And Dennis Prager promotes this, by the way. I have a clip of him promoting Chabad, and so does Ben Shapiro. And so does John Voight, the Hollywood actor that Trump is so close with. And basically, it's kind of similar to the Ten Commandments. It's their end time laws. A Gentile, which means non-Jew for the people that don't speak Jew here in the chat, a Gentile that believes in the God of Israel and the chosen people. And the only problem with Christians that makes them not Noahide is they believe in the Trinity, which is considered idol worship, that a man or the Messiah, Jesus, is also God. But some rabbis say it's okay. The Gentiles, they can believe that, just the Jews can't. But that is their ultimate goal. All the world worshiping their God, following these laws, these biblical laws.
So how does this all play out? So do a lot of people have to die to achieve this end times world?
A whole bunch of rabbis in the clip say that 2/3 of the world has to die. And then there's also rabbis on the internet talking about, and this is straight from the Talmud, that they'll have 2,800 righteous Gentile, Noahide, Shabbos Goy servants. Like the idea, the Shabbos Goy is on the seventh day God rested in the creation story, right? So that's the Sabbath 7. And in the seventh millennium, so remember, young earth creationists in Christianity and in Judaism, they believe that the world is 6,000 years old by doing math from like Adam to everybody till today. And so in the seventh millennium, they will have these righteous Gentile servants that look to them and say, God is with you, and want to serve them. And this is why rabbis say that the non-Jewish world was created to serve them. And then in the seventh millennium, they will have their servants, and they will just study Torah, and they will be on top of the world, like this type of thing.
So anyone who lives has to go serve the Jews and be their slaves, so they can just study Torah all day.
That's what they say.
Oh, good. That's going to go real well.
Sound like a utopia, real communist Judeo utopia.
I think I might actually rather live in communism if I had to, rather than being someone's slave, so they could go be like Torah scholars all day. We actually did like a 6-hour queer Jewish class on the channel one day, because we found this like queer Jewish organization that was teaching all about what was the main takeaway from that class? It was
the genders in the Talmud, that they like to talk about that. Yeah, they were teaching all about the genders and about how they're not really queer, but they are queer, but they're not trans because it's a different gender and all this stuff. It was like a 6-hour class that we found open on their website, and then I streamed the whole thing on one of my Socialism Saturdays, and then they took the class down and they put it behind a password, and I can't imagine why they didn't want us to see that information anymore. Yeah, they don't like it when bad, hateful people bring attention to what they're doing. You knew too much. They had to shut it down.
I'm like, I literally just watched her class on the internet. Isn't that what you want? Well, apparently no. No, it's not what they want at all.
Yeah.
So we're all going to be the slaves of the Jews, and that's going to be really great.
Yeah, I have something to add there too. In a way, they're kind of enacting de facto Noahide laws. What does that mean? Anti-Semitism laws, like the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, that's been top of their agenda. They've been trying to push it, impose it on every institution worldwide, and like half the states in America have adopted it, and universities are adopting it. They're trying to push it on social media platforms. There's already been tons of censorship for talking about like this taboo subject. So in a way, that is like a form of no blasphemy, that you cannot blaspheme their God. And if they view that if you're anti-Yahweh, the God of the Bible, you're anti-Torah, you're anti the sages, you're anti-Zionism, which is, comes from Judaism, then they call you Amalek, which is their biblical arch enemy in the Torah. And
that's why Amalek has his name. Okay, now I understand.
Yeah. So Amalek in the Bible, the Amalekites, is probably a fictional group that supposedly attacked the Hebrews in the Exodus when they were fleeing Egypt. And this is a mythical story. The Exodus didn't happen. It's completely made up. But this still motivates them till today. Anybody that opposes them and their Torah, they consider Amalek. And of their 613 commandments that they derive from the Torah in Judaism, 3 of them are involved blotting out the memory of Amalek, remembering what Amalek did to you. And another one is about like destroying Amalek. And then there'll still be rabbis that like interpret these ancient mythical stories and say, oh, we're commanded, like every man, woman, and child, and even the suckling infants, and even their ox and their donkeys and their their animals, their livestock also need to be destroyed. That's how evil Amalek is. And Amalek is related to Esau and Edom. And the rabbis interpret Germany as being Amalek. Amalek is the nephew of Esau in the Torah. And it's like the most evil branch of the Edomites or Esau's descendants.
I feel like for new people, you need to create some sort of like dictionary or quick like cheat sheet sort of thing where like, here's all the vocab and here's actually like what it means. And I had to do the same thing with the socialist stuff because people have been asking me
explaining
this
it.
for a long
I said
time.
Amalek.
I know,
What it is.
I know,
I know
and I appreciate it.
It's new and a lot for a lot of people, but just ask ChatGPT what is Amalek. It'll tell you the same thing.
Well, Fred says, I can't believe Karlyn doesn't know this stuff. Like, listen, bro, I've been studying socialists and communists for 4 years. I know their language. Do you know their language? No, probably not. Okay.
You've been watching me. You're super green pilled. You know about all this stuff. You just want me to slow it down and make it simple.
I'm giving you a chance to teach it to other people who may not have heard it before in a way that is more digestible. Because I've had this struggle too with the language and people not understanding the definitions. But it is just confusing because it sounds like it's a different language than what we're used to speaking. And I think one of the things that I've noticed when I've watched some of your compilation videos is like, it's exactly like with the socialists, like they speak their language fluently. And so they don't think when they're going back and forth between English and socialist. And it's the same thing with the rabbis. It's like they don't understand when they're going back and forth between like Jewish and like non-Jewish understanding people. And so it's like you have to slow it down and break down the language because people just don't know. This stuff takes time to learn.
Well, the videos that we get of the rabbis talking about these things, they don't think that Gentiles are watching their videos. So this is, in their mind, this is only for a Jewish audience. And for a long time, nobody was watching rabbi videos. Well, there wasn't the internet also. So like this was very obscure, unknown stuff where people couldn't just go on YouTube and type in like rabbi and this topic and go see dozens of videos of these rabbis. And it's crazy how they're able to fantasize and talk about their manifestos. It's basically like a world domination blueprint manifesto is how I see these rabbis explain these things. And me and my friends have found tons of rabbis talking about these things. They're slightly coded with some of these language and terms. And, it's a little bit veiled, but like once you understand some of the basics of the terminology, it's shocking the things that they're saying all over the internet. And like to learn about Amalek, years ago, I put out a compilation about Amalek with just all of these different rabbis explaining it and these are not out of context. It's not open to interpretation. Like they're very clear about how they see these things.
Yeah, I totally get what you're talking about because it's exactly the same way with socialists. Like once you learn how to speak their language, you find all these crazy videos. And it's the same thing with them because they're putting these videos online to talk to each other. And even if they put them up on YouTube or they have a public webinar or something like that, they get really pissed off when I watch it because they're like, no, that's not for you. And I'm like, well, you're putting it on the internet. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, this is not my problem. And so, but once you start to understand their language, you start finding all these videos of them saying they want to violently overthrow the government. They want to abolish gender. They want to do this, that, and the other thing. And it's just like they were saying all this stuff all along out in the open, and no one ever bothered to actually sit down and listen to them. Yeah. And so like you do kind of the same thing with the rabbis that I do with the left.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of the videos we find of these rabbis, they were on YouTube like 10, 15 years ago. And they just be sitting on there. It'll have like a few hundred views. Every comment will just be some rabbi or some Judaist agreeing with them. And it's just like every day, it's gold mines, finding another gem and then putting them together with some music. And many of my compilations and compilations my friends like John Garadas and See Through It All have made have reached many, many millions of people and have been mirrored and posted all over the internet.
Yeah, no, it's the same thing with the left. And it's crazy. It's like you hear them openly talk about how they want to abolish all parental rights, how they want to get rid of like even the concept of childhood, how they want to, do all this stuff. And it's like, you put it out on the internet, all of a sudden millions of people see it and they understand, oh, this is different maybe than what I thought it was. So it is kind of a cool thing though. And I love finding those videos that only have a couple hundred views on it. And then there's always someone inevitably in my chat that like poo-poos it. They're like, well, how many people really watch this? I'm like, well, how many people watched it is not actually the point. The point is they're telling us what they believe in the most blunt possible terms. And so we should make more people watch this.
Right. I hear the same copes. They say those are fringe rabbis. Those aren't real rabbis. Or they'll say you're cherry picking, or which it's like every video we watch. And then they'll say it's out of context. That's the other lie that we don't have to take. The things are so bad on their own. We don't have to take anything out of context. The real context is as bad enough. And or they'll you hate like this. Forget what all the what we're showing from the horror. You hate, so we're going to dismiss all of this stuff. Or these rabbis don't really have any power. Yes, they do. Chabad Lubavitch, which is the ultra-Orthodox, they're on the Jerusalem Post list of 50 most influential Jews, the only religious group on there. And they have incredible influence, international, thousands of shukums, I think they call them, yeshivas, synagogues around the world, and they're connected to many high levels of government, especially in America and Russia and Israel and stuff. So it is real, and it's a real concern, and people try to run cover for it and minimize it and downplay it, and that is a big problem.
It's all fun and games until you start World War III by bombing Iran because of what Fox News told you to do, right? Yeah. All fun and games. Can Adam touch on, I don't know what this is, and if the average Jewish person is concerned with it? I'm sure you know what that means.
That one's a little esoteric. I wouldn't say the average person is concerned with it. Maybe the average Jew has heard of it, but Erev Rav means the mixed multitude. So it's like some of the impure, like not fully Jewish souls that left Egypt in the Exodus is the origin of that. And so you can just go on YouTube and type in Erev Rav. There's lots of rabbis talking about it. And they view like maybe Jews that are sinful or Jews that are not following Judaism as the Erev Rav. And in the end times, they have to be like that impurity of the Jewish people and the collective Jewish soul needs to be removed, from the nation of Israel.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. IBcom said, so you're saying once we learn the languages, we'll recognize more patterns than Joann's Fabrics? Well, Joann's Fabrics just went out of business, and so I'm not sure that's a great reference. But it is kind of true, though. It's like once you learn that, like all these different, I think that we're kind of like in a society where we're surrounded by different cults and different tribes, and just like every little subculture has their own language. Every different subculture has their own definitions of things. And once people start understanding that, like, your definitions of things are not my definitions and vice versa for like every single subgroup, you start to understand, like all of these people are doing things that are just honestly crazy, but no one knows about it because people aren't actually speaking the language of the cult. Mm-hmm. And then once you learn how to speak the language, you realize there's so much more bullshit going on in the world, like right out in the open, that you never would have seen because we have tunnel vision into our own.
Well, what I've noticed too is a lot of the because Judaism is the originator. They're the originators. They're the ones with the secrets. Christianity and Islam are just basically sister religions or offshoots, spin-offs of Judaism. But I think a lot of the secret beliefs, or they're not even secret. It's an open secret. It's hidden in plain sight. It's like just straight reading the Bible with a little discernment and not believing it, and you can see all this stuff. But I think like the fanatical rabbis have kind of gone under the radar because most people, there's so many more Christians, there's so many more Muslims, so they focus on them and their crazy beliefs, and I think that kind of has helped to have the rabbis' belief kind of fly under the radar and not get as much attention. So in a way, it's like provides cover for them. Even
I think it's interesting because I've been thinking about this and why I never noticed this stuff. I grew up in Vermont. I grew up in a Catholic family, even though I wasn't baptized. I was never around Jewish people growing up. I kind of looked at Jewish people and I'm like, okay, they have their own thing, but then they're wearing these weird clothes and they're using language I don't understand. And quite frankly, like I just didn't care enough to try to understand any of it because it didn't impact my life at all. So why would I know all this stuff? Why would I? And I always perceived it too, that I didn't think it was like that different from any other religion until really like the last couple of years, to be honest.
It's not totally different from Christianity, to be honest. Christianity
fair enough.
is just like, it's a sect of Judaism that was started by Jews that believes in a Messiah and prophecies and end times. So it's extremely similar.
Let me see. Any other questions? I think I got all the questions so far. So, okay, how does this thing play out with Trump? Because now Iran has responded by kind of sort of bombing American bases, but not really. It was more just like a love tap, if anything else, like nothing really happened. And now Trump has declared world peace, and he's congratulated everyone on Twitter that we now have world peace or Truth Social or whatever. What do you think is going to happen next?
Well, they've been signaling a lot of like sleeper cell attacks or maybe an
Yeah,
attack
that was
on our
crazy.
yeah, so there could be a sleeper cell attack. It could be even a lone wolf, some Muslim somewhere, get mad about what's happening in Palestine or mad what happened to Iran, and they could do an attack. There's also like the grid, or there could be, biological attacks. I'm sure they have biological stuff, but I don't know that Iran was, they didn't do much to our bases and we already evacuated them and Trump's declaring victory. But like, how much could they really have done? If they really tried their hardest, we would have just shot them all down and it would have looked like even more failure. But they might do attack on the internet, hacking on the internet or something, or like Russia threatened they could give them a nuke, and now they could be emboldened claiming we have a nuke now. Or we moved our stuff. We knew the attack was happening, and now we built one, in 2 weeks. I don't think it's over. It's way premature celebration, Trump declaring peace. It's very reminiscent of a lot of people on the internet have noticed of Bush's mission accomplished banner he had on the aircraft carrier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
I remember that well.
yeah.
I was like protesting at anti-war protests at the Boston Common when all that was happening. I'm like, here we go again. It's like people have such short memories with this stuff. It's exactly the same playbook as Iraq all over again.
And it's not like it's over and there's peace now. Trump is saying make Iran great again and wants regime change. That's really what this has always been about. It wasn't about these underground facilities from Top Gun. It's about regime change and having a puppet in there for them. And I don't even think Iran was really their ultimate target. Like if you go off of what all the rabbis have been saying, like Edom in the West is the ultimate target. And they want us to get in a battle against each other with Russia and China as well. So hopefully none of this stuff happens. If enough people, maybe we can stop voting in Christian Zionist politicians like Ted Cruz that says, I learned from Sunday school when I was a kid that we need to support the state of Israel. It says it right in this ancient book, right next to Noah's talking snake. And this is what influences his political decisions.
Did you watch his interview with Tucker Carlson? Because that was insane. Ted Cruz is insane.
Yep. And what's insane is that no journalist has pressed a politician like this before, because this has been going on for decades. And finally, somebody pressed a politician about like, you're really using the Bible and you don't even know what verse or the context, and this is what's influencing your political views. And then,
or you don't know anything about Iran.
Yeah, didn't even know the population. He's been talking about overthrowing this country and bombing this country for years, probably a decade, and doesn't even know the very basics like of the population, which even I knew. And so there's so many politicians in America that believe like this. Basically, every single Republican, this is the position you have to be elected. And a lot of Christians online will say it's all AIPAC or they're all blackmailed by Epstein. But that's not, those things exist. But what they do is they just prop up sincere believers that get voted in by sincere believers in this Christian theology.
Man. And Tulsi Gabbard is the new Colin Powell, which I always knew she was. I remember she was in New Hampshire and she endorsed like warmongering Republican for Senate in 2022. And the Libertarians actually like organized to go and disrupt her events. And so I was like yelling at Tulsi Gabbard at one of these events, calling her a warmonger or something. And then I went viral on the internet for that. And of course, like no one paid attention to it because they love Tulsi. And it's like, oh, now look at her now. Look at her now.
Yeah.
If only we could have known.
I never got on. I was never on the Tulsi train either. I may have like agreed with her on something she said at one point, but I saw this coming. The signs were there. Yeah. She's photographed with Shmuley Boteach and Sheldon Adelson's wife. That's the big donor to Trump. But a few more things on the Ted Cruz thing. how his immediate pushback to Tucker was that he implied he hated Jews, or that he implied he was anti-Semitic. And he said, "You're obsessed with Israel." It's like, dude, you just said you got into Congress wanting to be the #1 supporter of Israel. You believe they're God's chosen people and that they're the Holy Land, and that you're cursed if you curse them and blessed if you bless them. And you're going to say we're obsessed with Israel?
Yeah. No, I thought the same thing, because they say the same thing to me, and I'm like, I hardly ever talk about this. Like, literally, I hardly ever talk about this. I spend all my time watching socialism on the internet. You guys think I'm obsessed with Jews? No, I'm actually obsessed with the far left. And it's like they just make this shit up. And I think once it happens to you, and once they start smearing you like that, it's like you can see them doing it every other time they're doing it to someone else, and it's just like their basic go-to strategy, which sucks, but it is what it is.
Yep. That's the main defense mechanism that they always do. Boil it down to, you're blaming all Jews. You're saying everything's is Jews' fault, and you come from a place of hate. And this coming from a place of hate is like intrinsic to Judaism. I've done compilations of rabbis saying that, remember Edom and Esau they view as the West, and Christian nations in Rome who destroyed their temple. And Amalek is their arch enemy. They say Esau and Amalek are born hating them for no reason. Like, how's that for a blood libel? We're like genetically in our blood evil and hate them, and they didn't do anything. And that's the mindset that they have. So any criticism is dismissed as you're hating them, and that's an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, and that's a trope, and these things. And sadly, Christians give them that out. For the Christians throughout history that have blamed them for killing God or being cursed for killing Jesus, that gives them the excuse to point the finger and actually be right about that, because that is ridiculous and the silliest thing to ever blame Jews for.
I literally just saw them do that on Twitter today. Village Crazy Lady Mel on Twitter shared a screenshot of Mark Levin literally just said that today. He said it's in your family's DNA to hate Jews. And then she also linked to a post that Josh Hammer made where he said the same thing. Jew hatred is inherent in European DNA. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they're echoing exactly what the rabbis say. They go, it's a law of nature. The rest of the world hates them for no reason because they're jealous because they're God's chosen people and they don't want to follow their morals and their Noahide laws.
Yeah. It's so crazy.
And then they'll also say all the time, like ADL and Jewish groups will say, like, we got to shine a light on the darkness. That's Kabbalah coding. The Jews are the divine sparks of light, and the Gentiles are the shards of the shattered. This is going to be way too deep. They're the darkness, basically. The Jews are the light. The non-Jews are the darkness. So when they say they want to end anti-Semitism or eradicate anti-Semitism and never forget, that's referencing to Amalek. And if they're going to destroy the anti-Semitism, and so many people are born in their DNA anti-Semites, how are they going to do that? If not, and how do they say? Through the end times Gog and Magog war, where everybody destroys each other.
I made a joke about Jewish soda a couple months ago that kind of went viral on Twitter. I don't know if you saw that. And I don't know, it was a joke about soda. It was me saying, like, don't tell me the Jews don't run the world if they can't get Coca-Cola to do like the good sugarcane soda for them or something like that. It was some stupid joke about
kosher soda. I want to get that good kosher soda. What was it, like a yellow cap or something?
Yeah, it was the one with the yellow cap. And I was actually saying they're so powerful that they get the good soda and the goy get the shitty soda, right? Mm-hmm. And do you know how many rape threats I got from Jews on Twitter for saying, like, making a joke about Jewish soda? I'm like, you guys want to tell me I'm the one that's hateful? You're threatening to rape me. Like, what are you talking about? Over and over and over again.
Such a benign joke about the soda, and it's that Jewish guy on TikTok shouldn't have done that video. Now the goyim are going to eat all their good, drink all of their good soda.
Exactly. The reaction is crazy. Let's see. We do have a couple other questions. Let's see. Andre says, isn't it interesting? I remember I called it that the U.S. taxpayers were left in the dark, and next day's Operation Dark Hammer, Top Gun. See, now I have to go back and watch that Top Gun movie again. I
thought it was Midnight Hammer is what it's called.
Midnight Hammer?
Yeah.
Might be.
Top
Should
Gun.
be Dark Hammer though. Dark
I'm
Hammer
about to
actually
do a
sounds kinda cool.
compilation of the Top Gun. I just took all the clips that are relevant, and I'm going to show it with Fox News that go back and forth, showing how similar it was. They were certainly trying to prepare everybody with this hit blockbuster movie
That's
for
crazy.
bombing Iran. Yep.
Wow. Onyx says, "Cause Adam explain what Kabbalah is and what function it serves."
Kabbalah is just mystical Judaism. The main book that Kabbalah is rooted in is called the Zohar, but there's other Kabbalistic books as well. So it's like the deeper understanding, esoteric, mystical beliefs like on the Torah. And that's what the Talmud is too. It's basically just commentary and expanding on the Torah, interpreting the Torah and some other like Jewish lore with the rabbis.
All right. So, Adam, I don't want to take up too much more of your time because I really appreciate you you coming out to the channel. Is there anything else that we should know about as we enter into possibly World War III? Possibly nothing, but possibly World War III?
Yes. Don't fall for the Christian-controlled opposition that blames Jews for so many ridiculous talking points that are going to get us nowhere and only empower the Zionist. So you'll see Christians say, they're Khazarians. They're not real Jews. That's just such a distraction. Christians can't get to the root of the problem, which Zionism, Talmud, Zohar, it's all rooted in the Torah, but the Torah is Genesis and the first 5 books of the Old Testament that the Christians think is the word of God. So these copes online saying Jesus wasn't Jewish. Jesus is a mythical Jewish Messiah based on prophecy. So, and it's invented by Jews. He is called rabbi. He celebrates Jewish holidays. He's circumcised on the 8th day like a Jew. So don't fall for the Christian-controlled op copes that Jesus wasn't Jewish or Jews aren't real Jews. When I try to expose the Edom, Esau stuff, the Christians online, a fringe minority of them will say, oh, the Jews are secretly Esau and Edom, and the prophecies say we're going to win in the end. This is nonsense that gets you nowhere. Complaining about Jews killing Jesus, it's a myth, it didn't happen, and even if it were true, that's how you got your religion. That's how you got your blood magic, atonement, scapegoat ritual. Jesus came to fulfill God's plan and the prophecies, and it had to happen that way, and you wouldn't be saved if it didn't happen. So, and also, you'll see Jews are satanic and they worship the devil. That's another lie. They believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Yahweh, the God of Zion, the God of the Torah. All of these things are kosher conspiracies that distract away and basically just run cover for them. So the real conspiracy is Yahweh, prophecies, and Messiah of having a one world religion. It just face value. You don't have to get that deep with it.
So I've never even thought about that. Like every time they say like Jews worship the synagogue of Satan or like whatever, that's just deflection from what actually matters.
Yep, absolutely.
So don't listen to Christians. Rule number 1, basically.
Yeah. You can check out my playlist on Odyssey. I have a Jesus Deception Exposed playlist. I have a playlist of all my rabbi compilations as well. Many of my rabbi compilations. That's a good place to start. And guys, I'm banned from YouTube. I had a huge channel on YouTube, was banned in 2020. There's a fan account that's up there now if you're YouTube only, but it'd be great if everybody subscribed over to me. No more news on Rumble and on Odyssey and on X.
And I'll pull up. Why aren't you coming up on Odyssey for me? What's going on?
Search is awful. These alternative platform searches don't work very well. NoMoreNews.org. You can find all my links and a bunch of resources there.
Cool. I'll put your Odyssey link in the chat. The Rumble link and your Twitter are in the description. But I have to get this question in from average person. Is Judaism a Gnostic sex cult? Would you say? No.
Gnostic was like mystical Judaism. That's where Gnosticism started from. Judaism blending in with other mystery religions around the area at the time, having influence on it, but no, it's not a Gnostic sex cult.
Cool. And you have T-shirts for sale. I actually liked one of your T-shirts that you had with the owl.
Yes,
hang on,
I
let me
don't
pull
have
it up.
one right here, but yeah, I've got a Viking owl. My shirts out right now are Viking owl. This is one of my shirts too, as well. It's like a Viking symbol. I
like the one you had of Trump.
Karlyn knows. Yeah, I have a good Trump one too. I wore that actually. I went to one of the No Kings protests, and that got a lot of compliments. I don't think they saw the Stars of David in Trump's eyes on the They Live Trump shirt.
What did you think of the No Kings protest when you were there?
My local one was in a very like white upper class area, and it was just a bunch of old white liberals, and it was, I posted it online. Like, I know there's like riots and like La Raza stuff in LA and stuff, but my local one, it was like on the super like $1 million average house on this beach town on the Strip. And they were all out there. It was like a arts and crafts sign making contest where these liberals could just be like, I don't like Trump. I'm participating in democracy. This is what democracy looks like. And they were all out there with big smiles. They're not even really mad. Like, do they want a bunch of illegal aliens in their nice little white beach town, graffiti and crime and drugs and violence and stuff? Of course they don't, but they're out there protesting just because it makes them feel good about themselves.
Yeah, it's bizarre to me to see like leftist stuff. I've had to stream so much like just normal kind of like progressive and Democrat stuff on the channel lately just because of the No King stuff. It's so boring. It's like I'm basically like pulling my hair out listening to it because real socialism and communism is so much more interesting and insane. But sometimes we have to just follow the leftist stuff because it's what's going on in the world.
Their understanding of everything happening was so vacuous too. They were just like, sheep, like, oh, protest. It was a lot of, it's like they're reliving the 60s too. A lot of these old white boomers too. And their signs, like all their signs were exactly the same, and they're all ridiculous. Almost all of the signs were like they had swastikas and Trump is Hitler and this is a dictatorship and they're all Nazis. And I'm just thinking, like, you guys are so like, what alternative universe are you guys in? All these people are hardcore Christian Zionists that are passing anti-Semitism laws and like literally slaves to Israel, and you're gonna call them Nazis. Good luck with that approach.
No, my mother is one of those people, and every once in a while she calls me to complain about what's going on, and she doesn't watch my show, so I can kind of say this, and I say this with love. My mother is an older woman; she means well, but like, there's nothing you can do to talk her out of it. She's like, Trump is literally Hitler, and I'm like, well, I kind of wish he was, but no, sadly, he's not. So, sorry.
Yeah, he's more like King Cyrus and King David and the Savior, the messianic figures of the Jews, and the Christians.
But what can you do? You just have to nod and smile and be like, okay, well, enjoy your protest. It's going to be fine.
My mom too. My mom's Christian, so same boat.
Oh, I bet that makes for interesting holidays.
I leave her alone. I'm targeting the youth and people, not people in their elderly age. They can keep believing.
They can believe the lies. It's fine. They aren't hurting anyone.
Right. She's not.
All right. Well, Adam, I appreciate you coming on. I hope you will come back again sometime sooner than you came back the last time, and hopefully that'll all work out.
Have I been on once before or twice before? I know I've had you on, I think, twice
before. I think this might be the third time.
The show we did, you were on my stream last week. Yeah. On the Saturday of the No Kings protest, I believe it was, and that was a good show. I was happy to have you on. It got good feedback. Everybody loved your expertise on the topic. Perfect guest to have on for the Communist Riot Day.
Yeah. And I just appreciate that we're both getting a moment of vindication around the same time, because the victory lap is fun and it's well-deserved. And I think on both ends. And, it's just like, again, it's like you are one of the only people on the internet who kind of does something similar to what I do. And so I really appreciate all the work you put in. I know how hard it is to like watch a lot of this stuff and find these clips. And, you watch hours and hours of content for like that 30-second clip, but it makes it all worthwhile. And it's really great when you find
for years
like
I was doing it myself, but then like once I got other friends, I'd encourage other like people that watch the show to do it, and now they're doing a lot of it. So I don't know if you've done that already, but you should have all of your 100,000 subscribers search these terms, go on YouTube, find clips, give me the timestamp, show me the clip, make your own compilations of clips you've already done. That's what we've been doing, and it's been having a good big effect.
Yeah. No, we're starting to do some of that. I've got a couple projects in the works for like archiving things like that. We've got a Discord going where we're starting to archive all of this stuff. And so just trying to like put it, it's like an overwhelming, I'm sure you have the same problem. It's like an overwhelming amount of information to try to articulate to people, and just the organizational effort to even just get everything all in one place where you can actually see it is the hardest part, honestly. But I feel like we're getting there.
I've
Yeah.
got so many hours and like probably thousands of rabbi clips on multiple different hard drives that I've been collecting over the years. And then the hardest part is trying to put the right ones together in
Yep.
something short enough that the bird brain average person with the short attention span online will actually watch, because most people don't watch something over like a 2-minute TikTok video. So you want to be able to wake them up with the most powerful stuff in something that short.
Yeah, it's so true. And like I have a massive archive of like thousands of things just like these, of things that are like handed out at leftist protests that are crazy. This is about, Adam, do you want to know how to become a trans femme? Because I can give you a DIY hormone guide right now from leftist protests.
I will
Just,
pass on the trans hormones. Did you do the expose on the Antifa literature that you picked up the other day?
This is I'm starting to kind of like drip it out, but I'm just doing one by one because it's just like there's so much of it. Like I have a whole like thing. It's like this much literature. So I'm just putting them out one by one and just we've looked at the Antifa riot manual. We've looked at, their little guidebook that they give out to everyone when you first start to protest and what you need to do. We've looked at some of their stickers and stuff like that, but I'm just slowly kind of putting this stuff out there and archiving it because it's like a lot of it's evergreen, to be honest. It'll be out there for a long time. But this is why the left wins, because they create so much shit like this, and people think this is a little DIY. What was funny? It was like the conservatives on Twitter were like, how are they printing all that stuff? They must be really well funded. I'm like, you can make this on a home printer. This is not a well-funded operation. This is printing something on your own home printer, printing 100 copies of it and bringing it to a protest. That's it. It's not that hard. But yeah, I'm working on an archive about that. I have a really big archive of this stuff in Discord that I'm trying to make it all public. But we actually have, I should show you, we actually have Jewish trans zines that we've talked about where they're talking about the gender and all this stuff. And so those are fun.
Yeah, they're focused on the real important things, the real important issues, right?
Yeah, they're focused on the good stuff, like cutting off. The Jewish trans zine actually has like a whole story about a person cutting off his dick or something like that. So that's really good. So, yay!
Yeah. Circumcision. Hey, yeah, Christians don't have much room to talk when they genitally mutilate their boys on the 8th day. Yeah,
the Tim Tum. It's called the Tim Tum. Something like that. Anyway, well, Adam, right. I really appreciate what you do. Thank you so much for stopping by, and we appreciate you as always. And we'll see you next time. Okay.
Thank you so much, Karlyn. You're awesome. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap us up for today for this stream. But as a reminder, guys, we are doing another stream later. And let me just get it up on. Actually, you know what? You can just go to the Discord and see it. We can just go here. We are doing another stream in about an hour because there is a ceasefire was just announced. Like every other time a ceasefire has been out, I'll believe it when I see it, to be really honest with you. But guys, we're doing another stream in about an hour. If my internet holds up for some reason, I'm getting so sick of like my internet for some reason, like getting all pixelated or like whatever. I don't know why it's doing that. It sucks, but let me get this up. I'll pop the link in the chat. In about an hour, we are going to be spy streaming inside a live leftist training. And this is going to be Christian and interfaith leftists talking about what they're going to do to fight authoritarianism under Trump. No, it is the heat. That's doing this to my computer. I 100% know that because the computer is really effing hot and it's not cooling down. And it's hot as fuck out, Mary. We live in New Hampshire. Why is it so hot? I don't understand that. Anyway, I'm going to take a little bit of a break. My computer hopefully is going to cool the F down, and then we can go inside a live leftist training and talk about it. That's going to be about an hour on the channel. Hey, Amalek, can you put your handle in the chat, please? I will unblock you. I haven't done it yet. Just don't be a dick, okay? I'm not, by the way, I'm not anti-Groiper. I am not anti-anyone. I am not anti-anyone. I am friends with Nick. I am friends with some of the Groipers. Some of the Groipers suck. I am also friends with Adam. I love Adam. I want to keep having Adam on the channel. I don't want any shit from you, bro. I just want to be nice with everyone. I don't want to be in a war with anyone, literally no one. But I will unblock you on Twitter because you apologized, and real men apologize to me when they're wrong. I'm just saying. I'm not Auntie Groiper. No, no. Anyway, you signed up for the virtual socialism conference. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to end the stream now. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you have mounted the like button. I hope you guys appreciated Adam. I hope you go subscribe to his stuff. He's awesome. And I'll see you guys in about an hour. All right. Take care, guys. We'll see you soon.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
Would you give me some idea?
I am not completely like other people.
What do you mean by that?
People dislike me because I am not completely like them. I am trying to do with my life something which few people try to do, and this influences my thinking and consequently my action.
What is it you're trying to do with your life?
Play the piano for people.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.